I'm here for the Thetford Council Watch meeting, and I think most people are now ready. So we've got Bob Dine over in the corner, and we're all here to have this little chat. So, hello, mate.
There you go. That's why I'm feeling. Yeah, definitely. Oh, blinged out by all the tinfoil. Right. Do you want a drink?
No, my drink is there.
You want to take your coats off, make yourself comfortable, have a cough.
Well, there'll be plenty of that.
You like that?
There's nothing like a council type meeting with people having a drink, is there? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the March edition of the Thetford Council Watch, which was cancelled from Monday because we had some illnesses, so we thought best to do it on the Thursday. I'd like to welcome a few newcomers tonight. We have James, our county councillor. Thank you for turning up, James. We have Jenny Hollis, who's not been here before, an ex-Brecland and Thetford councillor. And of course we have Dennis. I've got to give him a chuckle because the last time Dennis was on the panel, he was barred by every political institution.
Lucky me.
For some strange reason of fraternising with the Thetford Council Watch. So thanks for turning up, Dennis. Yeah.
All right.
So we'll start the meeting and we've got a few things. So we do encourage the public to get involved with questions when we can get you in. I'd like to thank all the volunteers for sitting around the table tonight and putting themselves in front of the camera for scrutiny. Thank you very much. Declarations of disclosable pecuniary interest. Has anybody got a problem with what's on the agenda? Feel we can't speak about it? I don't think we have yet. Apologies for absence. I don't think we've got one tonight, have we? We're all here.
Sean Stevens.
Sean Stevens has given up the ghost.
No, he hasn't.
Right, minutes to confirm any minutes from the previous. From the last Thetford Town Council meeting. I've got the councillors who are still mumbling and not addressing the public, i.e. they don't address what they're saying to the public. The microphones are either not turned on or left on low, and the speakers are incorrectly placed. And the public is still treated with disdain by the councillors when they're actually speaking. Does anybody want to pick up on that, on what we've observed before I say anything?
Nothing new really, is it? Nothing new. You know, we thought we'd resolve that problem, hadn't we?
Yeah.
A couple of months back, but, you know, reverting back to type.
No, but the thing that concerns me is, and it did when I was a councillor, I know the public are affected off limits on what's on the agenda, but to me the councillors are there on behalf of the public and should look like they're interested in what the public thinks, which I don't think they are. But that is an ongoing problem. But we know LSB is going to say something about the speakers.
I just think it's ridiculous that they have the speakers right at against the back wall, so that sound then has to travel the entire length of the hall with all that reverb in there anyway. It's just a sound bar.
It's a poor room anyway.
The speakers need to be at the front of the councillors, so their microphones don't interfere with the speakers because they're behind them and not in front of them. Any decent sound technician knows this.
Right.
And the speakers, if they're that close to the audience, it doesn't have to fight for that reverb in that big hall. Why don't they know that?
So therefore, who are we looking at on the council to shut that potentially is wrong? because Ron.
Ron would know.
I think Ron probably sets it up.
Maybe
So-
he's deliberately setting it up.
No, so if any of the affected council aren't watching this, the town council, can they look at the position of the speakers, especially Ron, and those of us who know Ron, is it worth us having a word with him in passing and say, can you sort that out?
Well, I'll go in and sit up early if you want.
You're bad. Is it
Well, he has his on a Saturday. He has his record store, doesn't he, on the
I'll see
marketplace?
him on Saturday.
So
I'm next to him.
that's probably your best.
Can you have a word, see what he
I'll
says?
see what.
And because obviously you're in a band and you have PAs, and so you know what I mean when it comes. Yeah,
That's why they don't turn them up, because they'll feedback.
yeah.
But it would help, because I know a lot of people that we're relaying the council meeting to as well are saying we can't hear what's getting said.
It's just frustrating, isn't it, really? Because, I mean, there's problems enough as it is in the town, things they want to get across to the council, but if you can't hear them, it makes it even more frustrating, so you feel like you know, gets you a little bit angst.
I think we walk a tightrope, because when we can't hear what they're saying and when they're mumbling, we can agitate from the public gallery and shout, speak up, talk to us.
Yeah.
But that then starts to make us look bad, and then we get some bad reports on that. But I do feel that we've got to stand up and say, can you speak up and direct your face this way? I think we should do that. We were a bit thin on the ground at the last meeting, but if we are, I think we can get away with that if we say it with good intentions, Bob. What do you think?
Absolutely, yeah. You know, as long as they bloody listen. You've got two people here that know about it. Why not use it?
The last thing I've got, I love it to bits, but we will struggle to understand the new mayor when she's in place next year. Because the thing is, you know, our good friend Barbara here, if Barbara was the mayor with her accent, now fast she talks, I'd have to say Barbara. I'm going to have to, but Carla's going to have to slow down, or nobody will understand the mayor. So I'm
A megaphone maybe might just...
no, she speaks loud enough, but she speaks too fast. So I think, because I do like Carla, so I'm hoping that she will calm it down. Okay, has anybody from the public got anything to say about the councillors and the way they answer questions to the public? Anybody got any points?
They turn around and they're ignorant to people online as well. I mean, there was a case last night, I'd actually called a town councillor, told him that he was ignorant because somebody just asked, they commented on the bit for the mayor, and somebody just said, if it had gone to a public vote, would that person have got it? But who knows? We don't know. But one of the town councillors come back and he said, well, it was a public vote. So I put on it, me being me, no, it was done by the councillors. It's always been done by the councillors.
Yes.
And he turned around, he come back and he said, yes, well, we're members of the public.
Oh.
Well, yeah, not 14, 16 of you, out of thousands I've gone on it, and your point is rubbish. But the way they talk to the public, when if it's a question that they don't like, they don't like rude to people.
Dennis, you want to say anything on that?
No, I totally agree. I mean, the councillors are there to serve the public and everything. We unfortunately seem to have a group of councillors who don't want to do that, and they want to just ignore what we're saying. They won't answer the questions, and they make it difficult for us to even hear any answers that come out. So I agree. I mean, the mayor is a ceremonial mayor, and they've always elected the mayor. The councillors have done, and it will continue that because it's only ceremonial. So that they have very little power, the mayor. But it would be nice if before the mayor was elected, it was announced who was going to stand for mayor, so the public could have an input into it at least, to their councillors. But then, in order to do that, the councillors have got to listen to what we say.
Right, what I'd like to say on that, because we were involved in it, basically the power behind the party who's in power at the council generally directs what the mayor and the deputy mayor is. I'd like to suggest that when we came in as UKIP as many years ago, the power base slightly shifted.
It did.
And what we suggested that instead of it being a political appointment, it became more of a civic appointment by sharing it around between the parties.
It's good, yeah.
And I think that we did force that through at the time. So it would be a Conservative, a Labour, a UKIP, a stroke independent, depending on many. And basically, we then went into a round table type.
And it's still going that way as far
Well,
as I
it
know.
was. Now, my thoughts on this one is that the next one in line was Carla.
Yeah, and who's an independent?
Yeah. So we're getting rid of Labour. We've now got Carla coming in, who's an independent. So to me, it should have been a Conservative.
Yeah.
Now, who's the only Conservative, Jane, on the council?
There are no Conservatives on Thetford Town Council anymore.
Right. But Mac was a Conservative.
Mac was elected as a Conservative.
Right. I'm just giving you my.
Is he independent now?
Yeah. I'm giving you my. Yeah. So basically, before the Labour went into that civic place again, there should have been 2 picks. I'm giving you it from my common sense point of view. There's 2 picks before it goes back to Labour. Now we've got a very, very inexperienced council. The common sense thing for me was Carla goes in, she's been a deputy mayor, she knows enough about the council. We're then very thin on the ground with experience, would you agree? Now to me, for that second pick, Mac's an ex-military man, Mac can cuff things. I thought it would have been good for the council civically to put Mac in there. And Mac did get a nomination, and I just know if that had been still on the council, I would have backed Mac. Because it would have made sense. Mac, you know, Mac knows what he's doing, he's confident, and he would have carried through that inexperience based on his past experience within the military, and that would have got through the 2 picks. That would have then give the inexperienced Labour councillors a chance to bed themselves.
Can I just check some information before? Isn't there a ruling that you have to serve so many years before you can be the mayor?
The civic policy did state that you had to be in your 3rd
Year
year
of office.
to be nominated as deputy
Deputy
mayor.
mayor, yes, that's
So-
it.
We're not quite there,
No.
but my understanding is that potentially the civic policy may well have been changed.
Oh, right, well, I haven't read the civic policy.
Right, yes, so this is the thing, what I'm trying to say, Jane, is because of the whip system and the power base, they can change the policy to suit themselves, which I think, what's the word? I think it's on the hand undemocratic, because I think that the way that we had it and we shared it around, and based on experience, and it wasn't a party thing, it was more about the town, I think we could have accepted a risk there with Mac, because we got a very inexperienced town council, would you agree?
Yeah, well, he served his time,
No, he's not been there that long.
He was there when I was there.
He's been there more than 4 years.
Yeah, he's been
Has
there
he?
more than 4 years, yes, he served his time.
Well,
He came in on a by-election, didn't he?
Yeah.
yeah, well there you go, so therefore Mac actually ticked all the boxes there.
Qualified completely,
And
yeah.
the fact that they put up another Labour candidate, and what concerns me is they've shortcutted that goodwill system that we set up, which points to a lot of things, if you can understand what I'm saying. And I thought that was a bit smelly, but it does indicate the way. And basically, what I would say to what you're saying, Jen, and you know, because they've got the whip, they're going to go with the party line. So when they give you an answer online, they're going to give you the party line, aren't they? And then you then throw in the inexperience to not be able to go against that. You're not going to get a good answer, are you?
Does it bother me?
No, I know it doesn't. But you can see why they're doing it though, can't
yeah,
you? You know.
The thing is, they try and put people down. If you don't agree with what they're saying or what they're doing, they will try and belittle you.
Yeah.
And I had that with one of the councillors not long back over remembrance. And I, because it's all remembrance this and remembrance that, and he come back, he says, shows what support you give to our veterans. hang on a minute, I put on there, question me about what you like, but don't ever question my support on a veteran. I'm married to a First Gulf War veteran, my brother's a Northern Ireland veteran, my father and grandfather and that were all in the wars, so don't ever question my support for forces. He come back, and he didn't even come back, he just shut me right up. There's been a couple there that do it, and it's a couple that do it. There's a woman counsellor, not a young one, an older one, Labour, and she come back with something, oh how wonderful we are, sort of thing. I said to her, no, you follow the room. You can't think for yourselves, you follow what you're told to do.
Yeah.
And they do. And she come back, I do think for myself, no you don't. So
Well,
them fires I've had on the council.
Well, it's not it's not good for you as a council to upset the residents on social media.
But they do, they don't care, as long as they talk, they try and talk you down if your opinion's different to theirs. And it is just that Labour group, and I'm going to say it.
Well, this is why we've got this forum, for people to be able to vent, and hopefully people can see it. Jane?
So just to assist, and you know me, I like my policies and procedures. So back in February last year, the civic policy was amended, and it states really clearly the criteria for selection of mayor and deputy mayor is that they must be an elected councillor, and to hold office as mayor or deputy mayor, it is councillors, well, the punctuation's terrible, but it is councillors will have to have served 1 full year on full council. The expectation will be the mayor-elect would previously have served a year as deputy mayor, so they've circumvented, a good 2 years' worth of experience of understanding how the world works.
Basically. Jerry Rick, I'll be honest about it.
TJ
That's exactly what they've done. They wanted to get their people in. The only way they could do it, change the rules.
Well, we've got Labour up till May, then an independent Labour councillor, mayor coming in now. I don't know who they picked for deputy.
You picked the Labour.
Vic Peters.
Really?
So
So basically, nobody else, if you're independent on there, you're not going to get a look.
But just the ladies and gentlemen at home, Jane, the old policy was you had to be 3 years, yeah?
3 years, then you could be considered.
Then be considered,
As
and then
deputy
you
mayor.
could be voted in by your fellow councillors.
Yeah.
And then if you layer on top of that the fact that civically and common sensely and in good order, we shared it around the parties in order. And what that did was, that gave everybody a chance to be the deputy,
Yep.
so that when they stepped into the mayoral position, they were experienced and could represent town. And the other thing was, because they had 3 years experience as a councillor, they then understood how the council could, what's the word I'm looking for, interdict or influence good business coming into the town, and they also understood how the higher level of council could then blend in. I would suggest that when you've only been in the council for a year, you're quite clueless and still fumbling and trying to find your way. Now my point is, and this is conspiracy, and this is my point of view, sorry, I thought that
That's right, just done it. Very PCR test.
well, I think that the reason
COVID.
that's being done is that there's it's a military term, there's a long screwdriver going in to the deputy mayor who's inexperienced, who will then become the mayor inexperienced, and within the party whip system there's a long screwdriver in their control. So I would then allegedly Terry is controlling that, and he will then get more, he'll get more power by having a Labour councillor in there again and usurping that well-intentioned system that we had. So it all points to a bit of smelliness, corruption and undercover horrible stuff allegedly. I think we'll probably leave it there. I'll let the audience watching, hang on Jack, I'll let the audience watching figure that one out.
Well, on a similar point, but you've got a certain councillor who's never ever there. Like, how long can you be not there before you can be touched out?
Yeah.
Right,
If you don't attend a meeting for 6 months,
I'm saying it's
then
totally
it can be
different.
done.
Right, you'll know what I mean.
No, but
He's never here.
Yeah, but there's certain rules which Dennis will go through here is, you know, without boring, that, you know, if you don't attend within a certain time, you can be moved. Now, there's no way a council run by Labour in the majority will move a sitting MP. Now, he had an emergency meeting a month or two ago where we didn't get in. So basically, he's ticking the boxes procedurally to stay. However, from an honourable point of view,
Do it again, because the rules are you can serve your time until the election and then
yeah,
you stand time until the election and then
yeah.
you stand down. But it's now been made so that he can continue for, well, I don't know how long it's going to be. But anyway, you're going on later, yeah.
And the government have decided that, and the government at the minute is what government?
Yes, it's Labour, but the Conservatives on the county council backed it. Jane?
At the risk of sounding like a politician, I did not attend that meeting.
No, the Conservative candidate did back it. Yeah. Anyway, sorry about that.
Just one point while we're still on about the council meetings and the public, I'll ask the question again. If anyone knows it or can find out, is there a level of service they have to give to answer a question? I don't recall them ever answering one question that's ever been answered by any of us.
I can't.
What are you talking about, verbally in the meeting or by?
Whatever question they get, is there a cut-off point where you can say, right, we asked this question 2 years ago, 1 year ago, 6 months ago, you haven't answered, you've now got to answer or give us the evidence why you're not answering. Is there any rules in place to say they have to answer a question?
Would you like to answer that one, Dennis?
To my knowledge, there isn't.
No, there's
But
not.
I may be wrong again. I'm not.
No, I haven't read their standing orders recently, so I don't know.
But what I would say
With my cynical head on, knowing what we know about the councils
They
and the
just
way they're
ignore
set
the
up,
question.
yeah,
Yeah.
because they're not actually public servants.
The standing orders are online, aren't they? So I'm going to get a copy of
Yeah.
them.
So because we know they are registered as private corporations now,
Yeah,
they can basically ignore you like Marks and Spencers would.
yeah.
They've got no obligation to reply to you in that respect.
Bob, but where I bring in now, they don't know what we know. I think the main thing is integrity. I think the integrity they should have is to answer a question by the public.
Yeah.
I think it's more at the minute at the lower level of an integrity problem.
Yeah, yeah. And when you think about how long it's actually been now since the first time I asked, can you show me the evidence of a climate crisis? Was that 2 years?
No, nothing.
You're so vexatious, Bob.
I thought the same.
Yeah.
But back, sorry to jump in, but back to Dennis's what you said about these rules and regulations. Is a six monther, is it? Until he's got to appear up. Now this snidey little meeting that happened at the end of January, whatever it was, he hasn't been seen since the 25th of June to answer questions. So the other month after, he was late because of a Mildenhall dentist appointment. So that's over your 6 months. This needs looking into.
No. What he's doing, Zach, is he's turning up and getting a tick in the box within the allocated period he needs to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so the 6 months counted
He's
Yeah,
playing
yeah,
when
the
he got
game.
elected as MP.
Yeah.
It was from when he got elected
Yes.
as MP.
Yeah.
Right, so he's
Yeah.
snidely ticked that one.
Yeah, tick one box.
Yeah. We just got to keep an eye on it and just keep applying pressure, yeah. Right, we'll draw a line on that one. That was the conduct of the council towards the public. The next one we've got then, this will be interesting. Past council being blamed for problems, especially at the Guildhall. So I've got some bullet points here. The council are blaming past councillors for incorrect procedures and unfinished work. Now I do know, and we've got a couple in here tonight, some past councillors have some concern about this and what was said. Now this is my comprehension of what happened was the councillors were speaking about a lack of money, about 30 grand to sort the
Rotunda on
the
Guildhall.
rotunda out. And basically they were starting to lay the blame on the past council. It was funny because I was going to actually break in and shout, we'll take the £30,000 off the climate crisis council, we'll shorten it. But I decided for once to keep my mouth shut and bring it up here. No, but my point is, it's quite strange to see an inexperienced council being led, not looking at what is actually the problem, but straight away laying the problem out at somebody in the past who can't speak. Which
that comes all the way down from national level, though, doesn't it? You know, you've got a Labour government, Labour councillor. The government are saying it's a £22 billion black hole, whatever it was.
yeah.
And when we know it's actually trillions. And it's.
The difference I would say there, Bob, is they're all in it together. Now I know, because I'm on the past council, and I know that what the past councillors haven't potentially laid at their door is not true.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'd like to say, is there any past councillors in the audience who'd like to say anything about this? Come on!
They still haven't got the recording of that meeting out.
No.
But I think that if my brain was working properly, which would be very rare, there was money put by for that clock tower. There was money ring fenced, but with this new council, the majority run councillors on there, by now it's our local MP, all the finance regs and everything was changed. And my understanding, and I'm sure I'll get a kick in if I'm wrong, is that all the monies were put in one pot.
One pot, yeah.
And like the different committees don't have their own budgets, everything's in one pot and they have to go and ask. But the thing is, when that was all sorted out, which was the last 2 years of council, the money was there for works to be done. It had all been agreed by council, full council. Then what now is the MP, Mr. TJ, he got he inundated the committees with Labour.
Yeah.
And anyway, Labour. So he got voted in as chair of both committees that were in charge of the buildings. No, he didn't get finance, did he? No, he got the ALP.
Yeah.
And he got the venues and that.
Marketing.
He got chair.
So them is the
both of them.
venues and marketing committee,
Yeah.
and the ALP, which is the
Amenities, lands.
Amenities, lands.
which was two separate committees with their own pots of money, so you had scrutiny at that level. They were then put together.
No, he was chairman of both.
Both
He
committees.
was chairman of both of them, so
Yes. So
But he took all their money, and put it into one big pot.
since they've taken over the council, all the money's gone into one big pot.
And you now have to go to that.
So you can't prove that he's had a 30,000 overspend, can you? Because all the money's in one pot.
yes.
And again, he wouldn't stand up for a polygraph test, would he?
So what
Is he taking a facial from accounts?
So what we're saying there, Jenny, is allegedly skullduggery could be abounding.
I personally, me myself, I won't even put allegedly in it.
No.
There's
Well, you've
cookies, anything.
You've been live on camera.
All right.
It's not right what's going on. It's corruption.
Well, it's a way of control.
It's control.
Who
no?
controls the money controls the council. If you take where previously each committee had its own pot of money,
Yes.
and you went and you spent your money and you had your reserves, and you could spend that when you wanted. Now, the committees shouldn't even be existing, because if they don't have any finances and they have to go to the one committee that's got all the money, then they're not doing any good for anybody. That one committee could run the whole lot because they've got control
That's
of the
what they're
money.
doing.
That's what's happening. And so previously, I mean, when I was chairman of the allotment committee, I had my own little pot of money. The allotment committee made up its mind what it was going to spend on, how it's going to spend, and we did it. Now, if I was chairman of the allotment committee, I'd have to go cap in hand and ask, can I have some money to put the fencing up, or, or make it deer proof or whatever. And so it's ridiculous to have a committee that has no financial power base. Sorry.
Jane?
ranting.
No, and thank you, Dennis, because you've just actually reinforced absolutely what I did as chair of the finance committee
Yes.
for since 2017 up until I stood down from the council. And I firmly believe that actually to empower those committees, they should have a say on how their money was spent. The only oversight that we brought in, and you'll recall that I brought in the reserving policy,
Yes.
so that should you open up a pot of money, you had a clear reason, the same way that you would do at home. And I'm sorry, I'm really
No,
about,
you're right.
I'm about housewife economics. It's quite simple. If you've got a savings pot, you've got to know what that's used for. And there was a lot of unpicking that got done when I came on board, and we were really clear. So things like, and I would always challenge at budget setting about maintenance programmes. Is it fully costed? Do we know what needs doing and where we're going? Yeah. Drain pipes on the Guildhall, prime example. The reserving policy was one of the first things that got changed with the new council, and you will read into that as you see fit. I will just make that statement. What really frustrated me last week was the claim that we had been negligent as previous council, and that was absolutely incorrect. The what was presented by councillors was that we'd never had any health and safety works done.
Rubbish.
Absolutely, because, and I suggested at the time that if anybody wants to do a freedom of information request, they need to request the details of the contractors that we used, and it was actually under professional services. That's how much I remember the accounts. So Jane from accounts can actually get it right and is a qualified bookkeeper, just saying. So really clearly there's a simple audit back. I've since spoken to the town clerk, and I want to be fair on both sides here. I've since spoken to the town clerk because actually I was really upset after that meeting because, you know, I'm a finance professional. That really upset me, claiming that we would get something wrong. And the advice that she gave me was they had been advised that those reports had been done. What they were struggling to find out, and I think that ties up quite interestingly with what Jenny was saying, was although those reports had been done and we had a named health and safety counsellor relating back into that, what they are struggling to find, and I'll phrase it that way, is the minutes of the meetings where those health and safety concerns have been taken to a committee, who you'll recall, I empowered to spend their own money and make those decisions and do what's right for their element of the business, as it were. So that's where they're struggling, because apparently within those reports that were done and had been acknowledged to have been done, as opposed to what councillors were saying last week, there were some concerns and jobs that needed to be done that apparently haven't been done. So my suggestion would have been for any member of the public to access the website to go back to, I know it sounds really dull, but go back to meeting minutes of the previous council to see who was on those committees.
I was on every single one. So.
But sadly, those records no longer exist on the new website.
No, they've been pushed right back. But we've also got to remember is the health and elected councillor for the health and safety is actually the mayor now, Councillor Chris Harvey.
Yes.
So are they disputing that Chris done his job properly?
Seems like it, doesn't it?
No, we couldn't bring this up as councillors, as members of the public, because we weren't allowed on the evening, which is why I wanted this to come out now. Now, for those of you around the table who've not been on the council before, and for those who listen at home, what we're talking about here is blame being portioned where it shouldn't be, on the back of alleged skullduggery being hidden.
Can I just add to that? I've mentioned Chris's name, Chris Harvey's name, as being the elected councillor to go round on socials for the health and safety. But I also will remind you that Mr. Jeremy was chairman of both committees that dealt with it.
Yes. See, I'm sorry, somebody going to say something?
Sorry, I'm saying this is a surprise, isn't it?
I'm just saying it from my point of view, when I was a councillor and I seen the debacle when he was the mayor, and everybody else had to get money out of their pot to bail them out of a bad situation. You know, those units from the past will know, our MP at the minute was bailed out by all these smaller committees because he overspent his money early.
Within 6 months.
Within 6
He had a
months.
year's budget and he spent it 6 months.
I'm now seeing skullduggery involving the new mayor getting in by the system being usurped that was there for a one-party takeover, and we're now hearing about people getting blamed for bad procedure through health and safety and money not being spent properly from it. But it all points to me a long screwdriver by the MP trying to control everything, even though he's not there. And you know, if you stand back and look at it, to me it smells. It just smells to me. And what we're going to do about it, I don't know. But all we can do is highlight it. All we do is highlight it. The gentleman there, Martin, you were going to say something?
Yeah, going back to the committee. I mean, I've only been coming to these meetings for a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and I've seen the way the clerk conducted herself at one of the meetings, verbally abused us, and now I've heard of Terry Germany treating Dennis so bad, terribly bad. All right, so nothing what I hear will surprise me, really.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you. But what I've got to say is the great thing about tonight, you've got past councillors sitting around the table, you've got past councillors sitting in the audience who can bring some experience and information to what should happen. Now, what I would say is the poor old new town clerk, take personality out of it. She's new. She's not privy to all the information, and she still doesn't know the full procedures of how the council runs, Martin. Yeah.
No, but if I had done that, or if anyone had done what she done, they called the police on us.
Yeah, we know that. Yeah.
This is you know, and I'm only telling you what my views are.
Yeah, I know that, and I agree with you. So all I'm saying in mitigation is, if you're new at a job and somebody's coaching you on what should be happening, which shouldn't be happening, it's very easy for you to fall in a trap. So all I'm saying there is, in the short term, baddie, medium to long term, potential goodie. If you keep it, you know what I mean. Sometimes we've got to speculate a little bit to accumulate. So I'm just giving you some mitigating circumstances there, and I don't want to swear. My wife knows what I potentially could say right now. I am a. But mitigating circumstances. What I'm saying is, where to look is the MP at the minute. The MP is controlling everything. You know, he's a clever lad. He's got a lot of experience, and he's got a long screwdriver. In fact, you know, if Doctor Who wasn't falling apart, I'd be voting for him to be there. Yeah. But you know, I want you all to just keep an eye on that. You know, there's a lot of blame being proportions out by this council, which shouldn't be happening. Are you all happy with that? We've done that here. Right, the next thing that came up with the council was the car parks in Thetford. I'll give you my bullet points now. My understanding was Brecon Council have offered to hand the car parks over to Thetford. Now this is because we're going to this new, I call it Plan B and Plan C. We're on Plan A in a minute, Plan B, Plan C. We call it in Liverpool the Metro Maze, the evolution, all this type of thing. What they did is, as part of that handover, in 2 years' time, whatever they decide, Brecon have said to Thetford, you have the car parks, because they know that Thetford are not happy with giving them up. Now our councillors during the meeting did not like the thought of taking on the car parks, because if you take on the car parks, you have to pay for the upkeep, i.e. if they get damaged, you've got to retarmac and everything. Now at the minute, because Breckland have our car parks, the good thing is they pay for the upkeep. So we do have a little bit of a dispute here. Now, my comprehension on the night was that Thetford agreed to take on one of the car parks as a test run. I couldn't get my head around that. They're going to take one car park on as a test run and see how it progresses. But that's where we are with the car parks at the minute. As far as I'm aware, Brecklin won't be charging for car parks. So Thetford's got a 2-year reprieve. They've suggested we take over the car parks. So there's a lot of dynamics going on here.
Yeah, well, yeah, there is a lot of dynamics. Since I've been on the council previously, and no longer, but we have been offered the play parks, all the play parks in Thetford, which is costing lots of money. We've taken the toilets off of Brecklin and having to do that. We have already taken one car park off of them, which is no longer a car park because the marketplace. One of the reasons why the marketplace was changed into a community area was the cost of maintaining it is a lot less than in a car park. It is a very expensive thing, and if you look at the information that Brecklin gave out about why they wanted to make the car parks pay, so you had to pay to park, was that they needed to save millions of pounds to maintain them, on the maintenance of them. So if Thetford is stupid enough to take those car parks on, it'll bankrupt them.
They did
So, you know,
Right, they put council tax up so high.
yeah, or they'll charge you for doing it, and then the council will get blamed for charging.
Well, listen,
100 million people in this country have stopped paying their council tax.
Wait, listen. Don't run ahead. What I'm going to do now, hold the thought everybody's got on what we just said. I want to go on to the next agenda item, which will blend back into the one we've had. The next one I've got down is Brecklin Council received a lot of bad publicity during the meeting. So their lack of interest in the hockey club, toilets and play parks was mentioned. Now, I've got down here, which fits in what you're saying here. Thetford Council do not seem to comprehend the lack of control of the local council tax. Again, councillors do not know, Bob, that Brecklin are a for-profit business, and therefore they're not interested in Thetford's toilets, play parks and hockey clubs. Now, this is what I'm trying to get out is, they're trying to hand over to Thetford the car parks.
Anything that will cost them money.
Yes, because they have to pay at the minute, and I think they're losing money, would you agree?
I don't know. I can't state. I suspect there is the reason for wanting to make people pay for parking is because they're losing money.
Yeah.
That is my understanding. I did talk to a Brecklin councillor when they had their consultation in the library, and I did speak to him about this and everything. And where it was costing them too much money to maintain everything, so the only way they could recoup some of their money would be by charging people for parking. But they're not going to do it. The reason they're not doing it now is now that it's been decided that we are going to have a unitary authority.
This is the plan B and the plan C.
Yeah. The unitary authority and the elected mayor, and the elected mayor is just a person who's there and who the government can target and put pressure on to do as they want him to do. So it's easier to control one man than the whole council thing. So, and the elected mayor will have a lot of real power. And then you still have a council there, but it's only about half the powers they have now, because the elected mayor will get a lot of it.
Like, at this point, what I want the audience and us to comprehend is that on the last agenda item, down at the town level, when you've got your own little committees, you know, which is which is your amenities, you've got your venues, you've got your
a lot
and everything. Now everybody has their own little pots of money. Now you've got to keep an eye, like James said, you've got to put caveats in to make sure people don't go mad. But what you've got is you've got democracy at the local level, because you put we call it the military mission commander. You bang it all the way down to a little group, and they control that. So your chance of skullduggery is minimal. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then it just gets controlled at the higher level, and you look out for mistakes. Like Jane brought a few things in because she's a bookkeeper and said, I can see that potentially going wrong, so we'll put a little nuance in there. But the power was at the lower level. Now what has happened under our Labour Thetford Council, they've got rid of those committees and their responsibility, and they've blended it into one thing. So now this is exactly what's happening at this unitary thing Dennis is talking about, which is why your elections have been cancelled. What's going to happen is you're going to lose the benefit of having democracy and decision making at the lower level. And this 2-year plan is to push everything up to a higher level. So what you've got now, and this is my opinion, you've got Terry Jeremy, RMP, with a long screwdriver going right back into the Labour group in Thetford. So it's being controlled at the higher level. Now this will happen under these new plans. We will lose any democracy we think we've got at the lower level, and it will be, so the mayors will all get together and somebody will control the mayors. Yeah. And this is what this new system's about. I know we're going a little bit higher than the agenda item, but I just wanted to say that.
But we technically at the moment, we will still have a parish council, which is what Thetford Town Council is, a parish council.
Yes.
So we will still retain it, but what powers they have, well, we don't know if they have any powers out of it. And a unitary authority means that Thetford, which is about 30,000 people, will be put into with another conglomerate, and it's likely to be Bury St Edmunds, because that's the closest large town to Thetford, and with the abolition of the counties, they'll be able to cross the borders. So we'll lose all our power to Bury St Edmunds, basically.
You lads are saying on that chain, or you just have a
So what I can state
Yeah.
is there has been clear commitment from both county leaders that they would like to see the county borders retained.
I'd like to see it.
So
Note the word like.
And as you highlighted earlier, whilst we can ask for things, the decision-making power sits in one place.
Yes.
What I would say in defence, and you would expect me to as a county councillor, in defence of the decision that was taken by Norfolk County Council to request the postponement, we saw an opportunity to get more money into Norfolk, and if that meant postponing, and I'm really specific about the postponement because if you look at the order that's been laid before Parliament, it does clearly state that the county elections will happen next year, along with that mayoral election as well. And then within that, those county councillors will serve a term of 3 years through to 2029. So that's what's sitting in that order at this point in time. So I can only ever deal with the information that's in front of me. So you've got two things that are running at the moment. The analogy I use is a bit like the M6 and the M6 toll road. They kind of go in the same place, they kind of do the same thing, but there's a difference in costs within it. So you have the mayoral piece, and that is very much about strategic planning, strategic housing, strategic employment and skills, going up to that level across Norfolk and Suffolk. What I would say is nothing is decided yet because it hasn't been approved by government. So for those that are watching, there is a government consultation. It is very framed in the questions that they are asking, but that's what government are doing at the moment. So I would urge people to have their voice heard in that respect. That is part of the democratic process. Norfolk County Council did do a consultation in respect of the directly elected leader before that was under the county deal, and 64% of residents who responded, don't ask me the turnout number because I can't remember, said that they were in favour of being able to influence who that directly elected leader would be. So in the same way, a mayor will be elected, but but yes, it's the strategic level, but you're absolutely right. In terms of the unitary side of things, we don't know what that looks like yet. Everybody's put in their ideas as starters for 10, and that had to be submitted to central government by the 21st. It is not until September that the final plans are handed over to central government, and they either accept one of the offers or they go, you're all very naughty children and you'll do what we tell you to.
Right, but based on what we've said
Excuse me,
already,
Chair, I'm going to have to leave the room.
right, based on what you've
Short time.
And just while he's leaving, I would like to say that sent chills to me having you say that nothing's been decided yet. It took me all the way back to February 2023.
Yeah.
28th.
no,
That infamous day.
Yeah.
no, the thing is,
It
what came,
hasn't happened though, has it?
No. Give it to me.
what came out of what you said, what came out of what you said there, Jane, well, first thing I'd say is nobody trusts the government. I think that's across the board. Now, the other thing is, what I'm concerned about there is, like you said, I'm going to use this where Norfolk's scrambling to get the best deal based on the limited information they've got. Yeah. So already we've got people scrambling to get something they don't know about. My point on this to us is, we're pushing democracy up rather than pushing it down. This is me personally, the biggest problem we've got why we formed this thing here is we're all fed up with the democracy at the top. Now what they're saying is the democracy at the top that we've got at the minute is not that good, which we all agree. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you something better, but it's going to be even further than what it is now, from what I can see.
Yeah.
That's
You'll
just my
get
point
the
of view.
scraps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they go along with what the councils are asking for, as Jane just said, they can say, oh yeah, that's a good idea, or no, we're going to do this.
But would you agree getting it back to agenda item, the council at the minute, the little bits of power we haven't got the money
No.
properly to look after them.
But surely that's just to do with government funding anyway, isn't
Yeah,
it?
that-
You know, when you think, you know, as we know, about where the council tax goes and everything, it goes into that central pot, and the councils only get a small slice of that back. If you know, in an ideal world, the world we'd like is where you would go back to that self-funding town and that self-funding county, but that's like you say, that's being pushed further and further away. Eventually, the way I see it is that you'll end up with an area mayor, and like you say, like the C40s, those area mayors get together to control things, and then over time they will be scrapped, and that will be, oh right, we're gonna, instead of having 40 mayors, we'll now whittle that down to 20, and then that centralisation will get deeper and deeper and deeper to the point where the plebs are powerless.
Yeah.
Well, my point at the minute is, and what the public still don't fully realise is, because they are a for-profit business, they're going to look at offloading things where they're not making money. So it's like Dennis was saying, is that they're losing money within their business model on car parks and stuff like that. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to drop that down on unsuspecting lower level councillors who are controlled through the whip system and are inexperienced. And we could end up with car parks where we're paying a bomb, but we haven't got the money, like Dennis said, at the town council level to facilitate that. Now, the big thing is, what I'm trying to get across on this agenda item is, because they are a for-profit business and we're giving them the money, they're only interested in the profit. Whereas, as far as I'm not a socialist, I'm a communist, I'd like to see the Thetford people put money into their own pot and we decide exactly what our money's going on.
Absolutely.
You know, if Mrs Young's in St John's Road says there's a freaking big hole in the road, I'll send Zach around within 3 hours and get it. And I say, Zach, take some money out the pot and go and show Mrs Jones.
And you don't have to worry about traffic lights or anything like that. You don't have to worry about barriers. Just go and put some tarmac in that hole.
No, but what I'm trying to get across here, because people don't realise that all these councils are for-party profit corporation registered.
Yeah.
All the problems that we have fall out of that. Right, this is just me throwing this in.
Yeah, and a lot of self-funding as well. You only got to look back to Proctor.
Yeah.
You know, he was feeding one of his own businesses out of council money,
Well,
and
well, we know about the
there's a hell of a lot of that going on.
Yeah, allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah, funny how he stepped down 2 days after it came out.
What I'd like to throw in here, I'm out me league, but I'm going to throw it in. If what we got at the minute is Plan A, and it's not working that well because of what we just spoke about, the government and the local councils have cancelled the elections because they're looking at what I call a Plan B and a Plan C. I personally would like to have a Plan D, work out what the Plan D is, and then potentially put that out in the parish poll.
Look after yourself.
Yeah, and then if the people then locally said we like Plan D, no, obviously we'd have to firm that up, and we'd need to take a lot of advice and say, well, how can we hold the money and where? But I think because we've got this 2-year period now where there's a consultation going on at a high level by the potentially corrupt people.
Well, that was
Let's go for a Plan D.
yeah, that was actually an idea that Mike pulled up, wasn't it? About setting up a trust. Setting up a trust for the townspeople. Instead of pissing your money up the wall with the government and having it sent to the Ukraine so you can blow some poor sod up, why not put the money into your money into a trust?
So we're talking about a Thetford Private Members Trust.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Private Members Association.
Can I make a statement on this?
Yeah.
One of Mr. Jeremy Terry's ideas that he put forward during the election, and I don't know if he's taken it further, was to put all of Thetford's property into a private trust
Yeah.
and then let them run the property and everything, which would then ensue that if anybody wanted to rent it, the money wouldn't go to the council, it'd go to the trust, and including Thetford Town Council would have to pay for their offices and everything to the private trust and everything. Now, I voted totally, I was always against this private trust because of that reason.
See, that would
Because
be-
who would put the trustees into the board?
Well,
That was it.
Well, the trustees would have been a Labour-run Thetford
Yeah, of
Council.
course they would. That's what they've done with the Charles Burr Centre.
Made up Germany.
Exactly what they've done with the Charles Burr Centre. It's run by Labour.
Well, what
And
we're
I'll publicly announce that.
yeah, but what we're saying, listen, things like this, Dennis, can be a bad idea or they can be a good idea depending on how they're run.
Yeah, but who's to control how they're run?
Well, basically, what I'm saying is, I'm shooting from the hip here. If we had our own election in Thetford on people who were running the trust for the good of the people of Thetford, and they could remove hire and fire people to run the trust for them. So listen, if they've got holes all over the road, there's litter everywhere, they're begging people to come out and do litter picks. We've got no police on the streets and there's people drinking everywhere. Then say, these people who are running our trust not good, let's get rid of them and put some new ones in.
Which actually happened in a state in America, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They actually
but
went in there, they actually went into the building and said, right, you're sacked.
yeah, oh
Which
yeah,
yeah.
because in America you can have literally town meetings
Yes.
where the people, not the council control it, the people of the town control it. And they have the power. But that setup is not here.
So it doesn't.
Behind that, mate.
So it needs change.
Yes,
So,
it does.
so it doesn't go that bad. What we're saying at the minute is the trust that Terry proposed would be run by a Labour town council. The
Well, I
trust,
don't know,
the
but
trust that
I suspect.
it would have been, yeah. The trust that we would be proposing would be run by the people.
But then you've got to balance the costs too against
It
it.
all needs looked after, but at the
Yeah, it
minute,
does,
at the
yeah.
minute, Dennis, we've got a plan A that's not working for us. Look at the state of the roads. We've got Plan B and C now being scrutinised by a corrupt government, and we'll get the answer in 2 years' time. What I'm saying at the minute, and we'll talk about it after this, is why don't we within that 2 years come up with a Plan D, scrutinise it thoroughly, speak to everybody, put it to a parish poll and see what the people want.
Yeah, really, you can do, yes.
No brainer.
Of course you
No
can.
brainer, mate.
And that parish poll is there for that reason.
Exactly. You told us that.
For us,
Because that's
yeah, I
plan-
was going to put it up.
Because Plan B and Plan C aren't going to be for the benefit of the plebeians.
I can't see it.
It's not.
But what I'm saying is we're seeing from the council watch when we go to the council meeting is we're actually agreeing with Labour. Labour are actually, they've agreed with us in the last 2 meetings. They're not happy with the higher level of council, but they don't know what to do about it because they don't comprehend the system.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there saying this is how you beat that system, and they're saying we can't do that, it's not lawful.
Yes,
And
well,
we're saying it is lawful, it's just not legal.
Legal.
Yeah,
wanna pick up on that?
no, that's bang on. That's exactly what I was just going to say. People have got no idea of the difference between lawful and legal. And legal being written by some other bloke's stuffed shirt sat in an office somewhere, writes down on a piece of paper. On Thursdays, you've all got to wear a red T-shirt. And unless anyone rebuts it, that's legislation. On a Thursday, everyone has to wear a red T-shirt.
A lot of our legal things are run by judges who are not elected.
Can I? Yeah, absolutely.
And they're
Can I
taught into school.
Yeah, can I just add to that? Under the laws of the realms of the Clearfield Doctrine, all courts were dissolved in 2008. They all became administrative corporations.
Yeah.
There is no lawful court in this country anymore.
Right.
I copied that and the money we did it.
Yeah.
Right, you know, I'm just going to quickly, for the audience and anybody listening, going about my sake of Chuck, that this is where I feel you've got to comprehend the land here and the law.
Yeah.
Once you comprehend it's 3 different jurisdictions and you realise now Breckland Council, Norfolk Council, they are a corporation. Now when you deal with corporations you have to have a contract.
Mhm.
And this is what Bob's going into. Now at the minute, if we don't accept their contract and we go for a plan D through a parish poll and say we're not accepting your contract, there's nothing I can see they can do.
No. No. The only thing they have in their favour is actually brute force.
Yes.
Because they own the police, which are corporations, they own the courts, which are corporations, they own the councils, which are corporations. They've got the actual weaponry behind them to actually force people into fear and mafia-style tactics to carry out their agenda. But
we've got rapid response.
We've got rapid response, which does work.
No, for anybody who's listening, anybody who's just coming in and looking at this, you're going to think that you're listening to a gang of lunatics here. But for anybody who's listening, believe you me, we've been going through this now for about 5-6 years. When you start to comprehend what exactly going on and what power you've actually got, it's fascinating. But everybody does realise they're running out of money. We're running out of money. Our roads are full of... Well, I'll be going into that in the next agenda item, so I don't want to say too much. So you all know what's going on with the car parks, the bad publicity that Breckland's getting, and why now for the next 2 years we're not getting any elections. You're all happy with that? Yeah? Anybody?
No, not happy at all. But
does anybody from the audience, before we wrap that one up, want to say anything? No, everybody okay? Right, the next one I've got, which again fits in with what we've just been saying, the overlap. I've got private debt collectors in Thetford, because I did bring up the question. The bullet points, the debt collectors who go around Thetford are a private corporation. Now they're masking themselves as council workers. They're misleading the police who turn up when called. Thetford residents need to be briefed on their rights. Now for those who are listening, the last ones that we dealt with on St John's was telling the police he was working for the council and he wasn't. It was Bristol and Shooter. They bought the debt, they were not working for the council. He might have got away with it slightly if he said they were the ARP, that would have slightly opened a few little strange nuances. But he was a private debt collector and the police don't know this. Now we explain to the police, now the one thing we've got to keep going back to is this civil or criminal. Because Bob, if the police do what on a civil thing?
Oh, they're going to nick. I've actually just put up. Yeah, on the in the Criminal Justice and Courts Act 2015, if they exercise their powers and privileges of constable improperly, prison for 14 years.
Because they are not legally trained.
Because they're not legally trained, which is what I said to that copper.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not legally trained, but I know a lot more stuff than this copper did, which is really scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it was, once this copper had sort of shit his pants and got back in the car and phoned his sergeant then confirmed that.
But this is...
So the police need educating there and then anyway.
But
Yeah.
what we've got to explain to the public prior to that is, again, the LAW.
Yeah.
And there's 3 jurisdictions of law. The private debt collector is there under the W, he's under contract law of the water, and basically he's trying to demand the money civilly with no contract.
Yeah.
The police are coming down and getting involved in a civil dispute, which they can't. They can only do that if there's a breach of the peace. And as we pointed out, the only breach of the peace is by the debt collector who's threatening everybody, which is why we've got to stay calm. We've got to stay calm and articulate it in a nice way. But the police did realise that what we were saying they couldn't dismantle with their knowledge, and that's why we won the day. Now what I then did on there at the council meeting was I questioned the council about this. Do they know what's going on? Do they know that debt collectors are masquerading as council workers? And I got tumbleweed in the room.
Yeah.
What I did get was, which was strange, was I got the, I think Jenny pointed this out as well, the clerk was answering when the question was to the councillors. The clerk cannot answer that question. She is unelected. She wanted to know what I wanted her to do. Now, for once in my life, I decided to keep my big mouth shut. But she wanted to know what I wanted her to do. It's nothing to do with her.
No.
I was asking the councillors if they know that people are going around. It's up to the councillors to answer that question.
So can I pick up on it? I'm a bit confused, Bob. You said the courts and all the laws were dissolved in 2008.
Yeah.
How can the policeman be sent to jail then? Who's got the authority to send him to jail?
Well, that's the thing. What we're finding is happening is that they're just in collusion anyway.
Yeah.
But what you've got is you've got the coppers that aren't. They're not. It's amazing. I've had this conversation with a few coppers.
Yeah.
They're not actually aware of the uniform they're wearing.
No.
They are not aware that they are 2 bodies in the same uniform.
Yeah.
Are they standing under their oath as constable, or are they standing under the office of the corporation? And it's
complicated.
Yeah, it is complicated. It is complicated. But if you was to say to a copper, what you're looking for is for that copper to dig into his own conscience, which is what he does as a constable, isn't it? It's like when the bobby used to clip the kid round the ear.
Yeah.
You're looking for them to dig into their own conscience, to keep themselves out of that risk of going to prison for 14 years. Now, a copper isn't going to go to court and get put in prison for 14 years. We know that.
No.
But it is there in their own legislation. But what they'll do is, because there's so many millions of pieces of legislation, they'll say, well, that one don't apply here.
Yeah.
We're going to use this other million that we've got in backup.
Right.
But these coppers don't know they're not breaking law, they're breaking their own legislation.
However, Alan, what's happening? Bob's right. So you've got an ignorant policeman.
Yeah.
And you then take all these people. I have murder when I go home with my half fella because all these people that got jailed by Starmer. Basically, what's happening is the police have gone not knowing what they're doing, and the rest of these people have took the duty solicitor.
Yeah.
They've admitted to the name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Signed a contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've then said that they understand what procedure they're going through.
Yeah.
I'm standing under the contract, and they're all wondering now why they're in jail.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at the people that the police have apprehended who've stood in their own sovereignty, none of them have gone to jail.
No.
So what we've got is we've got policemen who don't know, ignorant policemen, and we've also got ignorant public.
Yeah.
Now the public examine themselves because they don't know. Now you've then got the puppet masters at the government level facilitating this.
I understand what you're saying, but if I'm correct in what you said, Bob, the courts and whatever were all dissolved in 2008, so they've got no power to send anyone to jail.
They've got no power over anybody.
No.
Wait, hang on.
So how can anyone go to jail?
I'm going to explain to you.
Right, go on.
Let me explain. Yeah, let me explain. Right, so when you get the summons off the council for your council tax, we know that the council privately hire a magistrate, and we know that they privately hire a
Yeah.
court,
Yeah.
privately, and say, here's your money.
Yeah.
We know that we can do that to the police. We can hire the police.
Yeah, because
you
football
can.
clubs hire the police.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
you
Yeah.
can.
Now what I'm saying here is, so you've got a magistrate who doesn't really comprehend what all he knows is this is procedure,
Yeah.
because his higher ups haven't told him. Once he realises and he thinks I'm on a good earner here, I'll carry on doing this.
Yeah.
So you get the magistrate who's playing along, you get the court who's being hired out,
Yeah.
and John Bloggs comes in and says, mate, are you Mr. Mark Taylor? Yes,
Yeah.
I am, Your Honour, yeah. Do you understand why you're here today,
Yeah.
Mr. I'm here for my
Yeah,
poll tax
yeah,
and I'm not
absolutely.
happy.
Yeah, okay.
So what I've done now, Alan, I've accepted 2 levels
Okay.
of contract,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter what I say out of that, they're taking my money. So basically what's happening, even though that court is not a
Doesn't
lawful
exist.
court,
Yeah.
but what I've done is I've accepted the contract and I'm on hiding to nothing. And would you agree that I think that's what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's like, you know, if you was to walk in a courtroom, it only becomes applicable to you if you accept joinder.
it, yeah.
If you accept joinder, if you enter their jurisdiction, if you place your hand on the bar, the moment you take representation, you have taken representation from somebody else who's sworn their oath to the bar, like the judge
Yeah.
did. But the judges take two oaths, and if you ask them to recite their oath, they'll probably walk out of the room,
Right.
because their oath is actually to you, but they can't say that,
No.
because then they're out of business. The whole thing, that's, again, because they're private corporations, it's all with profit.
Yeah.
Again.
And it's all as well to do with your surname. The
Yeah.
fact that if you go into court, you, like Bob said, you touch the bar, you stand in their jurisdiction. But if you give your surname, then you've sort of given yourself over. That's it. You're finished.
Yeah.
Because then they can control the court. And really, because it's illegal to use your legal name.
So
That's
what do
why
you do?
shouldn't give
So
them-
what do you do
You
then?
need to take authority off the court.
So
It all depends why you're there.
Yeah, if it's just a breaking of legislation, it's very different to if you've broken a common law, loss, injury or harm. If you're there because you've been a right arsehole with somebody, then
Martin,
you
who's the
deserve to be
victim? What it comes down to, you keep it easy, is there a victim? Who's the victim? If there's no victim, you're not under the law of the land. You're now in the law of the water, you're in some sort of contractual law. The only way that you can be done for that is by you accepting the contract. And this is where we need, I think a lot of people since we had that incident have been coming up to me and stopping me when I'm walking the dog. And we need to run some sort of session on this to give people
And
to
the
say,
thing in the court of law, in a court of law, they will fight tooth and nail for you to get it to say your surname. But if you don't, then they can't do anything about it.
no, they want your legal fiction.
That's what I
Your
mean. That's
birth
what I'm saying. The
certificate.
surname, because it's illegal.
how
to
far
use.
would that go then? So I don't answer
You can
to
get a
it.
case dismissed
you
with cause and prejudice, and they can't come back from that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've just, in the last month, I've known a guy have 2 cases dismissed there and then because he will not join with them.
Exactly. It's cause and prejudice. That's what it is. If you look into it, they can't come back from that. The court.
See, but there's in-betweenies. Are you happy for me to talk about this?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've fell between the cracks is because I don't accept the summons for my council tax. And they sell it to the debt collector, and I'm in a fight with the debt collector.
But you're not in contract with a debt
I'm
collector.
not in contract. Now, the last time I was in court, and he tried to stitch me up during COVID, I didn't admit to my name, and I didn't understand anything. But they said that they had a victim, and basically there wasn't a victim. Now, if I'd have admitted to my name and had accepted the contract, even though the victim wasn't there, I would have, the way I look at it, I'd have been getting fined, because I accepted the contract on behalf of the victim who wasn't there. By not stepping into their world, and then having no victim, they had to drop the case. So, you've got, you've got different levels of this, man, and it gets a little bit complicated.
Yeah.
No, it's not worth going into that now. But you've got to comprehend, once you start to comprehend that you've got the LDA and the W, and which one am I in? And then, but we need to do more talking
Because
on
they
that.
deal in commerce, don't they? And that's how they
It's
think,
commerce, yeah.
You know,
it's
they think
contract
we're
law.
running a business. You know, that's why they got the right to take the money for the council, but
Yeah.
which is nice.
That's why police are given targets.
Yes, that's right.
And why would you go to court then?
Well, you don't. It's the only reason.
If I was
the
if I
best
was
thing to-
summoned to court,
The best thing to do is to do it from comfort of your own home, through paper, or just not contract at all.
But give me a-
It depends how much you've got to lose. Let's put it that way.
But why? What I'm saying is, why would you go to court? I mean, I had to go to court because I alleged the victim.
Yeah.
You know, and I
Whereas
thought,
I didn't go to a court because there wasn't a victim.
no, the only thing that can happen then is, from we can see, is that they'll come out and cosh you over the head and drag you in, which is unlawful. And then what you do when you go there is you don't accept the contract.
We just ring the rapid response then, won't we?
Well, rapid response would get involved, yeah. But listen, this is quite a complex thing, but we're starting to wake up to the spell I've had us under. And we'll go more into
So
that.
when I was just going to say, just because obviously, basically they're extracting money out of us. So if you look at the Fraud Act in 2006, I think it's point 3, it says that in there, that it's illegal to extract money from someone, and that's why it's fraudulent.
It's the Modern Slavery Act as
That's
well.
right, yeah.
The Modern Slavery Act, where they coerce you out of your money for the benefit of another.
Yeah.
It's stuff that we can use, or we do use, to put these people back in their boxes.
No, we quite soon will have a folder which will be getting printed up and sent around the town with all case notes, what judges do. So, for example, to pay your council tax, you've got to have a liability order, and that was declared by Lord Denham, wasn't it?
It was.
Lord
Yeah.
Denham said the council can't write liability orders. So what the council are doing is unlawful.
Yeah.
So basically,
Well, they-
we've got holes in our road. They're trying to get money off us at the council level, and it's unlawful.
That's,
You can't
that's
do it.
actually in the council handbook. They stopped creating liability orders in 2003 and nothing's replaced it. And yet, the council will send you a summons or a letter printed off of their own printer, nothing to do with the courts. And they'll say, well, it's gone to a court as a bulk order, and a judge has signed it off, but they won't tell you that judge is. Do you know what I mean? So the whole thing is just whether you know the game or not.
And the
Yeah.
thing is, the whole thing is built on fear.
yeah.
Because you're scared, you're worried that you're going to get a knock on the door. That's why people want to pay. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
And I did get a knock on the door
I did,
last
yeah.
week.
So, yeah.
But
I
we
did get a
were,
knock on the door, but it's how to deal with it properly. So you have certain documents in place, and I think the one that freaked him out is that if he wants to stand on the doorstep and discuss something with me, it's going to cost him 12 grand. Right? Because that was my contract. If you don't agree with the contract, you're going to have to leave.
let me just explain that pop to the people at home. What people do is we remove the implied rights of access to private companies, and you can put a poster on your house. And basically what happens then is when they knock on the door and they haven't got a contract, they are now contracting with you. And what you do, they say, well, look, these are my prices if you want to stay. Now, the minute that they realise that you know the game, they will leave. And this is why when you go to any of our houses, you'll find strange posters. My wife wants to know why I've had this there for 3.5 years. She's now starting to realise that people run away from my house when things happen. And, she's fallen in love with me again.
Can I be quiet then?
What a wife.
I need one.
No, but this is the thing is, what I want, just to wrap this bit up, we've been called conspirators now for many years. Now, the problem is, we woke up early to this corrupt game, and to close us down, they call us conspirators, and a lot of people around this table are commending because they hold the line, and we've got information which is helping a lot of people at the wrong end of the scale out, and we will hold the line. It's up to them to come to us and start listening to what they've got to say, and then take the fear out of their lives, yeah. But you know, or not, you will go under.
Well, I think we need to get some bits together, like you say,
Yeah.
just so people can be more educated on it. So.
But please don't stop calling us conspirators, we do like it. The next thing I'm going to talk about, before we wrap it up, how to explain this one. I've got the Ukrainian war ongoing and related problems to Thetford. Now I'm just going to tell you a quick story. When I was still a councillor, Councillor Brain got up at the Thetford Council level, and the council patted themselves on the back for how much aid they'd sent to Ukraine just after the war started. And everybody was giving themselves a pat on the back. And me being the pain in the backside I was, I stood up and came up with a counter narrative and explained to them that they didn't really know what was going on. And I don't know if you were there, Jay, Roy said to me, what's going on? And I explained to him that in 2014 we usurped the government of Ukraine. I don't know if any, we NATO, the European Union, the usual suspects, we got rid of the elected government because he was getting agreements with the West, and the Russians gave him a better agreement. He said, you know what, I'm going to get a better agreement. Lady called Victoria Newman, big lady in the CIA, she run what we call in the colour revolution, and they got rid of the government. Seen it before Libya, seen it before Iraq, slightly in Afghanistan. But we removed the government of the day. Anybody, basically, even before Russia was there, you had a place called Khazaria, and north of that you had tribes of Rus, R-U-S, and they were called the Kievan Rus. This is before there was a country called Russia. So you had the Kievan Rus. Kiev is in Ukraine. How far back do you want to go? They won't tell you this in schools and you won't get it in Google. There's a lot going on. Now basically the Eastern government told the Russian people in the Donbass, you will not speak Russian anymore and you will not teach it in your schools. They refused in 2014 and the Ukrainians started killing them. And basically that's going on for many a day. So that's the background to Ukraine. Our networks and our news medias are not telling us this. They are not telling you the truth. I'm sitting here now telling you what I know. I'd like somebody to tell me what I know is false. If it's not false and it's a fact, the people should know this. Because what's happening in a minute? What's this got to do with Thetford? The government's just committed billions more money into keeping the war going in Ukraine while the Yanks are pulling out.
Yeah.
Now, as an ex-military man, we're heading for the Third World War in the worst case. In the best case, Thetford's going to have more holes in the road, more people are going to be freezing in the winter, and nothing's going to get done. So what I'm trying to say, what is happening in Ukraine directly affects Thetford, and I'm saying to anybody who's watching, your government's lying and your media's lying. Please challenge me and tell me where I've got it wrong. If you find out that I'm right, find out what you can do about it.
Don't forget, a couple of years ago, Boris stopped the peace agreement.
Boris scuppered it.
Yeah, yes, he did. Yeah,
No, there's reasons for that we won't go into now. Yeah. Why did he scupper it?
It's not UK, it's Ukraine.
Yeah. And the other thing is that you know, people say, oh, they took the money off the ground, they stopped this funding and they stopped that funding, and they're bringing in the inheritance tax. The inheritance tax thing is about a land grab, and in the meantime, the companies behind it are stealing the land in the Ukraine as well. That very same company that's stealing the land in the Ukraine has just made a deal to take over the port of Felixstowe. So they're squashing the farming in Britain, the farming in the Ukraine through the land grab, and then they're controlling the imports of food. So again, it's another control element. But all the time they're doing this, they're feeding the banks. They're not taking more money off of you to help a situation, because that money they just go and borrow from the bank anyway, which keeps you in perpetual debt, in a national debt. So you're born and straight away you're like 50 grand in debt the moment you're born, and that is the whole. I could talk about this for hours now.
That's why it ties in your name, your surname.
But I just want people to aware that when our government turns around and says we're spending more billions, it is going to affect us here.
Yeah.
And the reason why they say they're sending it, I'm saying, and I hope you agree, it's a lie.
Yeah, and if you're putting a thingy up on your Facebook page that says I stand with Ukraine, I'm afraid you don't, because if you did, then you'd pick up your guns and you'd go over there and get shot. You don't stand for nothing. You didn't stand for your kids when they were injecting them with poison.
Yeah. But you've only got to break the words down, Ukraine, UK rain, and that's what it is. That's what we're calling the shots from.
Yeah.
You know.
Just to say.
Well, let's finish on the.
Yeah.
Let's finish on.
Was that right, Bob, that they want to build a big ski resort over there on the border?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's multi-million pound investments in the Ukraine at the moment, building huge holiday complexes, ski resorts, what have you. Where's that money coming from? Where's it coming from?
Us.
Yeah.
5,000 rooms, etc.
Well, what I would say is, I was having a conversation with Jane during the week, because, you know, like Jane said, sometimes you've still got to have a bit of investment to keep things going. But we would say it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good when we've got holes in the roads here and our money's going there and they build the ski resort. So in the best case, it doesn't look good, does it?
Well, I think it's finally getting through to people that, you know, it was on the headlines today that in the 8 months that Labour have been in, or roughly 8 months, they've given Ukraine £1 billion a month, and they've spent for what? Where's that money gone?
Yeah. People, I'm finding there's more and more people. You know, we was just talking about the rapid and helping people out with their debt collectors turning up. That's coming to your door.
Yeah.
At some point, that is going to arrive on your doorstep. You might be middle class at the moment, but you're going to be down there with the rest of the scum. At some point, you're going to have people banging on your door demanding money with menaces, because that's how the system works. It's a mafia-style system, and it's all very well being complacent at the moment. Oh yeah, I can afford an extra few pence on my fuel, and I can afford a bit of extra council tax. But it's coming up your footpath.
Yeah.
Well, let's finish on a bit of good news, eh? The Great Resist last week, which
Fantastic.
we hosted, anticipated was nearly 350 people in the Carnegie with all the speakers and everything. You know, as I put out on the thing, all the restaurants were packed, everybody made money, live musicians everywhere. The kids enjoyed it, they didn't know what was going on. All the hotels were full. So, Dennis, anything to say on it?
Just I learned an awful lot from it. There's opportunities to learn more, and yeah, I'd go again if you had another one as soon as you did. It was a really, really educational thing. There were some things that I found a little bit hard to take in, but there are other things that were so blatantly obvious, and yet I'd never even thought about it. So I mean, it was fantastic because it was an eye-opener. That's what I got to say.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I think the speakers that they had there were great, and I think it was good for the town. I know a lot of people came from out of town, and we did have people from Thetford there, and obviously Chris there at LSB and others, the great was just putting it out as well. It showed the townspeople of more what we've been saying, things, and it proves it in the sense that things are happening.
There's more people becoming aware.
Yeah, they are.
There was a couple of youngsters, because I should think the overall age of the audience was rather high.
Yeah.
But there was still quite a few youngsters there. There was a young couple from just outside Norwich who are farming on a small scale farming, and they were really enthusiastic about what they were learning and everything. So
it was excellent.
it was nice to see people, and there were people from Somerset talked to, and Lincolnshire, and
Newquay, everywhere.
yeah, Newquay, and it was just a gathering of, as I described it to people when I was talking about it, it was a gathering of open-minded people, willing to listen. They may not take it all in, but they were willing to listen and to learn a bit. So
The biggest thing I got about it, out of it, was the fact that you was in a room with so many people that were willing to put their heads above the parapet to make change, to actually do something. Yeah, that was fantastic. Yeah.
So you've done well, Mark.
Yeah.
Getting that.
Well done, Bob.
and the pizzas were very nice there too.
I don't know who done that.
No, well, that was the thing, is that, you know, the little micro businesses around town all got an invite, and I think everybody done, without declaring anything, everybody done well. You know, we've got to make it up to the band, because the band ended up £50 out of pocket. No, but Liz has said, if needed, if we still need the Great Resist, she'd love to come back next year. And on that, we've already got a Thetford Truth and Freedom Festival organised. Let's get for the 19th of July at the Angel at Loud. We've got the run of the whole place, 20 relays. We've got 3 bands already confirmed.
There's camping as well.
Camping as well, yeah. So more on that, we'll get the info out.
Camping.
And that's got a ceiling of 500, so we're Larne have invited Thetford up there, which is nice. What else we got? Yeah, just be ready, we need to get more information. The council are talking about getting rid of their vehicles and getting electric ones in. So that will set a rabbit running from us.
Talking about electric vehicles, Volvo have shut down their EV production.
It's quite funny, the council is all...
There'll be more potholes in the roads then. Your electric vehicles.
And the other thing we've got to see coming down the line is we need to have, and we'll talk about that I think in the next one, the elections are cancelled, what are we going to do, and what are we going to recommend? I've got a few ideas, but I think we'll bring that up at the next meeting if you're happy with that. So if there's any questions from anybody from the audience, any observations? Jane, Jen, anything? Any questions, anything?
Some things you agree with,
What I would-
some things you don't.
What I would say, I think the average person, myself, would like to say thanks to the people over there, because you are educating us.
Yeah.
So I'd like to take this opportunity and say thank you.
Yeah, well done.
You've got to be in jail next week, man. You've got to be in jail next week.
No, well, but I can only speak for myself. You know, that's
I've got, first thing, I'll probably be divorced.
Yes.
No, we'll get your own science.
Well, these electric vehicles they're trying to push on us. I mean, I'm a self-employed builder. Now, if I had an electric van with all my tools, surely I'd be pushed into a HGV.
Yeah,
So really, it'd be illegal for me to drive that vehicle unless I had a HGV licence.
Once you realise they're trying to get you off the roads, you'll
That's basically it, isn't it? Yeah.
I loved it when they done it in Scotland, all the police vehicles, they thought, I spent 20 million on police vehicles. The one thing they forgot, charge people.
Not charging for you for that.
I read out, like, nah, this has got to be a folly, isn't it?
Well, can I just say, Mike, I'd just like to say to everybody at home, thanks if you've watched live and catching up with us, and to the public, thanks for coming and contributing, and see you in the bar.
Welcome to any Labour councillors listening.